Prophet of thought.
Get ready.
The prophet of thought.
Peace, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Prophet of Thought series right here on the old TPOT YouTube page. I'm your host, of course, but you knew that already. That's why you're here. Tonight, got a couple brothers on for brother B.M.T from Black Male Talk will be on tonight, and we also gonna have brother B.B.B.B, I should say, Quad B. That's what y'all know him as, but I call him brother B.B.B.B. And tonight, from the title, we will be talking about the myth of men, black men particularly. I've often talked about this before. Y'all know I've had psychotherapists on this on the platform before, so y'all know, I think the mental health of our people is probably in some degree of crisis. But tonight we're not talking about everybody. We're going to be talking about the mental health of men. Brother Quad B, what's good? I see you down there.
Yeah, what's good? What's good, Brother X? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. We've been talking behind the scenes, so I've been trying to work it out so I can get you on a Wednesday. But I run a business.
I understand.
I got two shops now, so it's been hard, man. It's been hard to get everything together. I mean, I'm stretched really, really, really thinner than I want to be. But we here.
We here.
Yeah, we here.
We here.
I also got brother B.M.T from Black Male Talk is also coming on tonight as well. Let me see. I might have to hit him up. Let me see what he got going on. Let me see what he got going on here. Yeah, I know he was supposed to be coming on, and he's coming on. I think he's coming on with a few of his people. I don't think it's going to be just him. So, that ought to be interesting. We were going to try to do like some type of simulcast kind of thing. So I guess he's over there working on that on his end. But anyway, I got you here. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay. Should we do a disclaimer first? That anything discussed here should be not taken as medical. It should not replace anything from a
Well, I don't plan on giving anybody any
Oh,
medical
okay.
advice
I
any
know, but
goddamn
you
way.
know,
You know,
I don't know.
I'm just gonna give them the shit that I apply. You know, the shit that I think about. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna give them no medical advice. I mean, I ain't qualified to do that anyway. I mean, I'm a certified power mechanic. I can tell you anything about that, but I can't tell you shit about medicine. Okay, nothing.
I don't know. I
Tell
mean,
you.
I'm just, erring on the side of caution, my brother.
Yeah, I
Uh,
understand.
well, I'll say this much: anything I say about mental health will be totally drawn from my own experience, knowledge, biases, whatever. I'm not going to be quoting any empirical data. So here's the thing: please don't come at me. I'm just talking about this topic to the best of my ability. That's all.
Mm-hmm. My disclaimer is this: if you don't like what you hear, and get the hell up off of the stream,
Yeah,
and
that's.
feel free to come after me, cause see, you won't smoke with TPOT. TPOT got smoke for you.
There
Okay,
you go.
there you go. Um, well, what's your take? I mean, what is your take on the mental health of black men? Um, I
um,
believe that many of us need therapy. I know my ass need therapy. You know, I'll
mhm.
speak for myself. I know I could probably use some therapy.
Well,
Um,
it's
what do you think?
historical, and I will say that I was thinking about this topic today, brother X, and I'm thinking civilization, and other people have agreed with me. This popped into my head, and I Googled it and found some people, of course, agree with me. Civilization does take a toll on humans, especially men. We were originally, humans were originally hunter gatherers who lived in tight communal, family structures or extended family structures. And now today we're all like, we're in this, transitioning from this industrial age to information age. And I think our brains are not ready to cope with it. Then there's another thing, geography. Sometimes I wonder if human beings were meant to live above either tropic and just stay along the equator where it's warm, in between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, as opposed to going all over the planet and then having to devise ways to go against the nature of those geographical areas. And I sometimes wonder if that takes a toll. And this, I'm talking real, like, historically, and we're just we're dealing with it today. And I think we're getting away from our roots. So that's kind of my take on it. I could be wrong, but that's my take.
Well, I agree with you to a certain extent. I think much of the mental crisis that we face as men, think a lot of it is somewhat self-inflicted.
Mm-hmm.
Um I think a lot of the decisions that we make in our lives when we are young men have a tendency to come back to haunt us when we're older men. We're probably more equipped to deal with adversity, uh, um, um, scenarios when our minds are sharper and when we're a little more carefree. Then we get older. We get to be older brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and those bad decisions that we made when we were younger, far as who we decide to mate with, who we decide to have kids with, who we decide to marry, what career path we chose, all that kind of stuff. I think that stuff comes back to haunt us when we get older, and it causes a lot of mental stress and strain. And I think that's why a lot of us black men die of heart attacks and strokes, and we got high blood pressure and every goddamn thing else, because of what's going on in our lives, and a lot of the stuff that goes on in our lives, we have inflicted it upon ourselves, not realizing it while we were doing it. When we were doing it, when we were 20 and 25, we was doing all this crazy nonsense. We wasn't thinking about how it was going to be when we were 35, when we were 40, when we were 45. And now we're left to deal with those situations that we created or launched or got started when we were 20, and now we're 40, and we're living with the consequences of it. That's what I believe. I think a lot of that has to do with it. And also, like you said, society, environment, the conditions that we live under, the people we have around us play a big part in it, because people can be a stressor like hell. Okay. Depending on what kind of people you have around you, they can cause you a lot of stress and mental strain, and have your brain going backwards and forwards too. So I think all of that has a lot to do with the mental health of the black man.
Oh, of course. Of course. I was looking at it from just from a long-term historical viewpoint. But I agree that it looks like what you're doing is, looking at mental health from the context of our generation, for the context of what we call white supremacy, Western civilization, and how to cope with it. And we weren't told how to cope with, what is a hostile environment. Some of us thought that it was all. I was one of those who thought everything was cool when I was younger. I didn't know it had gone underground to a certain extent. The bigotry, the overt racism, the terrorism based on race, all that good stuff. So, yeah, you're right, though. And then when you look back and you're like, damn, if I had known, but sometimes if I know what do you say? What's the saying? If I knew then, if I knew then what I know now, okay. But you got to remember, a lot of this stuff we have today didn't exist when we were younger either. But at the very least, we could have started pooling our money or putting it away. For example, nobody told me about the power of compound interest. But dag, if I don't know a Pythagorean theorem, what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I look back, now, I own a business now, but from how I started my business, I probably could have owned it when I was 30. I probably didn't have to wait till I was 40 to own it. I probably could have owned it when I was 30 if I had been, doing things differently and, trying to save my money, maybe not chasing as many hoes. If I was doing all of that kind of stuff, I might have could have owned it when I was 30. We done been joined by brother B.M.T from Black Male Talk. What's good, brother?
Hey, how you guys doing?
How you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
We just chopping it up. I got a quad B on the other end. And we talking about the mental health of men, preferably black men. So what's your take on the state of the mental health of the black man nowadays? What's the black man facing mentally?
It's a pretty shattered shell. It's a Stockholm Syndrome of that we're going through right now. And it's been going on for a long time. And one thing that us as black men, we have a hard time talking about the mental fractures that we go through. This has been going on for over 200 years. And at the time, the debt is going to accumulate and build on that mind state to where it starts to trickle over, and it's now actually it starts to become subconscious thought. What is normal, the things that we see that is normal, like the violence and the behavior when somebody says the empathy of our people is gone. It's almost just but gone. And we look at it now like us versus them. You know what? Somebody says that they got beat up. We just want to. There's no more lack of shame, moral, or self-worth. Back then, you couldn't get a black man to dress like a fool or go out looking like with pants sagging or wearing any type of getup because we took pride. We took pride in ourselves. Now it's self-reverie and destruction. That means you have a self-destructive anarchist mind. When we were more so working hard to rebuild the government of our home, of our little tribe, of our people. When it comes to that of the man and the woman, and we don't have to go about that, but the man and the woman, it's if I admit to my emotions on how I feel about this black woman, I'm weak. If I come off in a passionate, too strong of a manner of aggression, then I'm abusive. So after a while, the man has a self-conflict. He self-conflicts himself in such a way because we got to understand the molding of what we viewed as what should be a man is now the molding is starting to be broken. What a man was raised as, it's natural to be a provider. You're being told that, no, you're no longer to be a provider. Wait, that's my natural man instinct as a black man. I'm naturally supposed to, I know I'm supposed to be in the home, but I've never seen how it was done with my father. So now I got to guess. I have to learn how to control my emotion on how I deal with society, my woman, my children. But then again, at one time, we knew how we were supposed to handle that. So then you're dealing with that of a child who does not, I don't even know where I'm going. So it's like it's a lost communication. The black man, he's dealing with a multi-personality like reconnaissance of it's hard to differentiate. Do I go with the church? Do I go with this politician? It's almost so much as we're looking for somebody to, like a savior. You're looking for a savior because that, if you think about it, we're looking for somebody. If you ever notice that nowadays, whenever you see somebody rise up out of the black community and it seems like they have a good idea, we want to get excited for that and we want to get on to that and we want to raise money. But the Stockholm Syndrome of failure done hit us so many times. We're like, you know what? I knew that was going to happen. I knew he was going to fail. But it used to not be like that. How else would we have gotten Rosewood? How else would we have gotten Tulsa? How else would we have gotten so many other towns? Yeah, we were going to have some failures, but we were willing to try. But nowadays, it's like if you beat a slave enough, they start to give up. They start to lose pride in their name. They start to lose the will to want to fight for their women and their children. So to the point where it's like, and I'm not calling any brother a slave, so I hope some of y'all don't get triggered by that, but I'm just being for real that we got to call it out for what it is right now. Because the black men that we see today are pretty battered down. And if you try to correct them, they get in some type of way. Back then, if I were to tell one of you brothers something, and as when we grew up, we understood that, hey, a man should be able to take criticism from other men and keep on driving on. You say something like that to another man and not knowing his state of mind and say, guess what? He might kill you. I understood that when my elders told me something that I was supposed to take that and put it in my heart and listen and learn from that. Let an older gentleman such as y'all brothers tell me something or tell a younger brother on the street. You worry about that man coming back to try to kill you or hurt you. These women can't do nothing with these boys, but these boys are dealing with, I feel like I've been neglected by a man. So I go to the streets and look for the manliness out of the streets. And if anybody tries to check me, because nobody had the audacity to really check me. So then after a while, I start to lash out at anything that gets in my way. But then soon enough, when you got that white man with the doggone badge and he stops you, he said, yo, sit down on the curb and you say something back. But see, if you had your daddy, I'm not sure if any of y'all ever heard this, but your dad said, you don't have to like what I said, but you will respect it. Y'all remember that? But see, that was a moral discipline our fathers were teaching us. See, that's an aptitude of discipline when it's an emotional check and balance that kept us alive. But see, these young boys, they never got that. The sisters, they didn't, they can only, they want to teach. I used to always say this from my wife. My wife said, Josiah, that's not what a man's supposed to be. I said, well, baby, how you know what a man's supposed to be? She'd be like, well, I think, see, I said, because you think, because you're not a man. It's hard to think of something if you've never been that. That's like trying to tell you brothers what it means to be a woman, but I've never been a woman. You see the discorrelation? I can't tell you something if I've never been in those shoes before. I can't tell a black woman how to be a black woman, just like nobody can tell a black man how to be a black man. Back then, being a brother, it was a self-taught journey after a while. Just like you were saying that, after a while, you had to make your mistakes. And if you were to fall back and fail a little bit, it's okay because, see, you had that molding of what it meant to be a black man. I failed many times, but see, I had other brothers say, listen, get back up. Nowadays, you got brothers who won't even get up. They fall down. They said, I give up. I lost my job, man. Society out there to get me. The white man out there to get me. Back then, my daddy had 2 or 3 jobs. I didn't know what honestly, for career day, I said, Daddy, you gonna come to career day? Well, what job do you want me to talk about? I said, dang, I never thought about that, Dad. He had 3 jobs. I didn't know what job he wanted to be. I said, well, just be a plumber today.
Talk about plumbing.
You know what I'm saying? Just talk about plumbing. But see, that's all I knew was that bottled up mind frame of, I have to learn how to switch it on and switch it off. But see, brothers these days, I'm speaking for me. Let me speak for me, but I don't want nobody to feel like I'm putting them in my shoes. I deal with PTSD and I have traumatic brain injury. That's from combat. Okay. But the thing about it, one of my biggest issues I had was I didn't want to go to therapy. I didn't want to speak about it. It took me about 22 years before I told my mom that I was sexually abused as a child by the women in my family. See, that's some things that some boys never even speak about, but we wonder why they're so sexually confused or why they attack the way they attack on other people. There's a lot of things that we have inside as black men that we don't speak on because we never learned how to actually speak about it. But see, we'll laugh at the white counterparts when they sit down on these TV shows and they talk about it. But see, they done free themselves because see, after a while, once you speak out those demons, you're free. But see, us as black men, whenever we speak about it, you ever seen a black man when he starts to emotionally talk about certain things, we think that he's off in the head or we'll shame him in some type of way. Well, come on, man, get it together. But no, you're not giving him time to actually speak on what's on his heart and soul. We got a lot of young boys out there in the street that are emotionally frustrated because they don't actually know how to actually channel that proper energy and anger. This is a very hard topic, especially when it comes to the black community. But the black community has been set back so many doggone times. I mean, after the 70s, after the crack era, I mean, we were fractured. And then after that, now we got to deal with the new immigrant policy coming in. We're like, dang, y'all talking about bringing in immigrants. We still got our babies still in the system. Most of our men are still in county. And you want us to bring in a whole nother system of people? And we didn't get our people first? That would mess up any brother to say, yo, I can't win.
Well, let me ask you brothers this then. Do you believe that mental trauma, mental issues, do you believe that they are inherited? Is it possible to inherit some type of mental, and when I say inherit, I mean genetically, not getting it from whatever your environment is, like genetically. If, say, your father or your mother has mental issues, can that also adversely affect you mentally? as their child.
Yes.
Brothers believe that.
From a
Yes.
genetic standpoint or from a
Genetics.
okay, genetic. Okay. I don't even know enough about it. About whether or not genetics affects mental health. That's something I just don't know.
You want me going? You want me to go at that for you, brother?
Go
Sure,
ahead.
go ahead.
Yes. Yes, it does. It very much so does. Understand this: the little things in our life, in our history, can always systematically come back to bite us. My father, he's bipolar, and his great grandfather is bipolar.
Mm.
You hear me? I used to never know why my daddy would snap. Now I see my brother sometimes just snap. I would say, Sean, talk to me. What's going on? But Sean could not explain why he would snap. And we just wavered it off. Sometimes you gotta go act for the history of what's going on in your blood. That's why they always y'all ever heard the term, do you know who your father is? The Jews have a thing where they could tell their father's father. They tell you the genetics. And the reason why genetics is so important, especially when it comes to your mental, because it trickles down. If there was a parent that was abused and never got over that type of abuse, in their mind shape, they were still reliving that. Though they may not mean it sometime, they could trigger it on the child. The same thing that they do not want to have happened to them, they will do it to the child. I said, Daddy, why do you beat me? This is one time I asked him after he gave me a beating, but he didn't tell me why he gave me a beating. I'm 11 years old now. I asked him, I said, Dad, why you give me a beating? He said, you know what? I forgot. I said, now I'm a child. I can't like say, well, Negro, what the hell? But see, this happens. Just like I told my friend, her child had ADHD. And the family would just write it off as a beating. And I said, there's something wrong with your son. You should go get him mental health. You know, she fought me not to go do it. And I said, one day, I said, Marriage, you're going to end up killing that boy. Then after that, the grandma from the father's side said, you know, my son has ADHD. Did you know that? She said, really? He never told me. Took the boy to go get checked. He had ADHD. See, that's why sometimes we got to ask. I know when we dating people or we fall in love, sometimes you got to ask these type of questions. Sometimes it don't hurt. I know we like to find out where you work, what you do, but sometimes we got to ask, yo, you know, how's your mental health been lately? How's it been at work? How's your stress? I mean, honestly, we can think back. When's the last time you asked a brother how you mentally been doing? You see, the thing about it for a lot of black people, I give black men the credit. We don't commit suicide like everybody else do. You can go look at the charts if you want. We don't commit suicide as bad as everybody else do, but we die very slowly. And sometimes it seeps into other brothers. That same poison that we don't want to deal with. Very much so our children. Yeah. Don't y'all notice that sometimes when you see a brother who could be a thug, do you not sometimes notice that the son sometimes might act like that at times? Like do the same thing the daddy was doing? And then we'll say, well, his daddy was a thief. So I mean, it was only natural. That's because It's right there in the mind. It was something that didn't get checked. And I mean, I know some people may market it off, and that's one thing that we have bad in the black community. Us as men, we don't get mental health like we should.
Nope.
We really don't. I really wish that there was some time, whether it be a group center or a church, but I really wish brothers would literally sometimes just sit down and we just actually talk to each other. Not about business, not about money, but actually mentally just have a mental sponge soak up session of what's going on in our mindset, because like a safe space. But see, that's the thing about it for a lot of black men. There's not really a safe space for you to speak about how you feel. I know we may laugh at it, different people like the women and the gays and different other people when they say they need a safe space, but you gotta understand, black man, you in the same boat too. Actually, you're a lot worse. You got to think: slavery, Jim Crow, crack era, Vietnam, World War I, II. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you literally think about it, honestly think about that. Think about everything you've done, accumulated to, and been through in your life. Have y'all once ever taken a week or some time to yourself to actually mentally contemplate what you've been through in your life? Just time for just you. Well, there's a lot of I'm just asking y'all brothers right now. Have y'all ever taken time for yourself?
Well, I haven't, because I'm working like 6.5 days a week.
Right.
But I think that I think a lot of us have inherited some type of, because according to the National Institute of Mental Health, I mean, there's 5 mental disorders that have genetic links. Autism, ADHD, clinical depression, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia, where they say that, but what they say is, and this is that really got me. This is what really got me when I was reading today, getting ready for this show. They said that they know that children of bipolar parents face an elevated risk of developing the disorder themselves. Some studies have found that children are more likely to inherit bipolar from their mothers, but other research has shown that the rate of bipolarism is higher when the father is the parent with bipolar disorder. And what that tells me is there's probably a lot of people running around here, right, who don't know who their father is. And that father that they didn't know who was probably had some type of mental shit going on with him, and they might have inherited it from this man, and they can't even trace it because they're not in contact with the man. They don't know who the man is. So you've inherited a condition that you don't even realize you have, because a lot of us walking around right now, a lot of us are walking around crazy as a bag of damn crickets and don't realize it because we haven't been diagnosed yet. We haven't been diagnosed. No one's came to us and said, hey, look, you crazy. We throw that word crazy around left and right. Oh, man, that's crazy. Oh, this is crazy. But a lot of us, we tipping close to crazy, and we don't even realize it, man. We have no idea, because there is shame and embarrassment linked to going to see a psychologist or psychotherapist or psychiatrist. There's shame in that. Also, no one wants to admit that something's wrong with them. That's another thing that's wrong with us, with black folks. We love to say it's all wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with me. That's another thing we got going with us. But I believe that one of the main reasons why we don't address mental health, especially us as men, I don't know why women would, but us as men, the reason why we will not address our own mental health, even if we got good insurance to go see a doctor, something, we don't do it because we think going to see somebody makes us less of a man. If we going to talk to a counselor or psychologist or psychotherapist, we think it makes us less than a man. We think it makes us weak. That's why we don't do it. A lot of us will go through our whole lives with, all kinds of things going on up here, and we can realize that they're going on up here, and we will never address it. So what happens? What happens? Because of what we got going on up here, it's expressed out here. Okay, your thinking has a direct effect on your behavior. There's no denying that. So what happens now? Whatever mental problems you got going on inside of your head, that's reflected throughout your life. The decisions you make, the people you deal with, how you choose to live your life, how you treat people, how you treat yourself. I mean, all of that is going to be affected if you got something going on in your head. Okay, you got a few screws loose that need to be tightened up. It's going to show. It's going to show in your activity. It's going to show how you live. I just think that at some point we have to get past, and I talked about this last week, we have to get past the things that make us uncomfortable. One thing about us as black folks, you often hear people talk about white folks' comfort, but see, black people, we got this comfort thing too. We got these comfort bubbles that we want to walk around in and shit. And some of the most crucial things that we need to drill down on are going to make us uncomfortable. Okay? The most crucial things in our life are often going to make us uncomfortable. And we have to learn to get past that feeling of uncomfortable. We have to suck that uncomfortable shit up if it's going to do something to improve our lives, if it's going to do something to stop the next brother from going through it, or stopping your child from going through it, or stopping your brother from going through it. For Christ's sake, stopping your mother or your father from going through it. We have to deal with these uncomfortable things. I think the fact that we have pushed our uncomfortable things into the dark so much, that is what we've been conditioned to do. Anything that's kind of uncomfortable, we want to push that shit into a dark cave. And see, me, I disagree with that. I believe in shining sunlight on these things. Okay? These things that trouble us as a people. The ills of black society. The ills of things that cause us mental trauma, whether it be genetic, inherited from one of our parents, or something that happened to us when we were younger, something we went through as an adult. We need to confront that shit, because only then will you be free. You're never going to be free as long as you are held prisoner by something that makes you uncomfortable. Because, see, you don't deal with it because of that. You don't deal with it because it makes you uncomfortable. You have to break free of that prison. That's the only way it's ever going to be addressed. But let me ask you, brothers. We know that, because we're talking about mental health of men, right? We know that a lot of men, like I said, will not address it, no matter how profound it is. Why you think you see people walking the street doing all this crazy nonsense? These people you see standing on the side of the road and everything else. You know that close to 60% of the prison population are people with mental health problems. Most of the people in there, they're not in there because they committed crimes. They in there because they ass crazy and they did something crazy and got them locked up. Those people need to be in a mental institution. They don't need to be warehoused in a prison. But see, there's not enough mental institutions to go around. So now they're warehousing people with mental issues, with mental challenges. They're warehousing them in prisons now, where they're not getting any type of help. Okay? All they're getting is 3 hots and a cot until the day they get out. So we as people, we are going to have to learn. We are going to have to build. We are going to have to establish some type of system for ourselves to deal with these issues and see the warning signs, the red flags, and see it coming around the corner in our little ones. Okay? We're going to have to do that. I mean, we're going to have to see this shit. We're going to have to confront it head on. This and a lot of other shit. Last week, I was talking about child abuse, and I was giving people the stats of sexual abuse in black society. 6 out of 10 young black girls are molested by the time they're 18. Now, those are just the reported cases. You know, it's a lot more than that. 1 out of 4 young black boys will be molested by the time they're 18. By my calculations, that's a lot of damn people growing up surviving sexual abuse. And I think that's a lot of damn people growing up with mental issues. What you brothers think?
I can't argue with that at all. I don't, you know, I have seen a few folks myself. You know, it's hard for me to say this, a lot of this in public, on a public hangout, so I'll just leave it alone. But I think in my case, fortunately, I was never abused. I was never abused sexually, but I got an earful of crap over the years, as well as you know, corporal punishment and whatnot. But yeah, I guess the thing was, I didn't know. You know, growing up, I did not know I was trauma. I was growing up under trauma. You're born into it, and you just get used to it, whatever it is. You're born into it, and how you're talking about a problem that's, you know, kind of like after the fact. How do we prevent this stuff in the first place? I could never understand how an adult could you know, sexually abuse a child. Never understood it in my life. And you know, that I believe that's a huge piece of why we got so many people messed up. I mean, for God's sake, I mean, these are kids. But you got adults out here who got their own, I don't know, got their own mental issues where they crave something that most of us see as, you know, grossly inappropriate. You know, I don't know what I'm. So I guess what I'm, you know, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but you're right. I mean, I guess this is kind of jarring me awake because mental health is not something I like to think about either. It's, again, I want to think about business. I want to think about money. I want to think about empowering the community. But I guess you can't empower a community if it's not well in the head, in its collective head.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Exactly. And on top of that, you got to think about how the cycles are repeated when you have a person, because a person who is going after children, that person has mental issues. That's a person with mental issues. Okay. So what do? They go with their mental issues and they cause the next generation to have mental issues. So now that generation grows up with mental issues, and it keeps going on. You know, because one thing about us black people, we have a tendency to live these cycles, man. We repeat these cycles. We repeat these cycles of abuse. We repeat these cycles of poverty. We repeat these cycles of mental issues. I believe that is one of the things that we repeat cycles of. We repeat cycles of mental issues along with all the other stuff that we repeat cycles of. And I believe we need to drill down on this shit. We need to drill down on it. We need to number one, we need to stop trying to philosophize it and try to attack it. Okay. We need to get on it and take some preventative measures. Okay. We need to be acting on this shit as opposed to reacting to it. Because if we're reacting to it, that usually means we're reacting to it after the fact. Okay. So people my age, you know, I'm already crazy. I'm already gone. But when we talk about the young ones, okay, the young ones, we need to be looking into their mental health. We need to be watching these kids closer. We need to be able to tell when they're developing something that may not necessarily be normal, that may not necessarily be sane, okay? Because, see, if we cut this shit off at the pass early on, maybe, just maybe, some of these adults would not be growing up. They wouldn't be growing up in a lifestyle of, you know, having mental trauma, having mental challenges, having mental problems, having mental difficulties. Because there's nothing worse than a sickness that goes undiagnosed, man. No matter what it is, you can have a bad cut on your finger, and if that thing don't get treated, that bad cut on your finger can get infected. You can develop sepsis from it and everything else. And if it gets too bad infected, you might have to get your damn finger cut off. So if we, as a people, if you cut your finger deep enough, you're gonna go to the hospital and get it stitched, right? So why on earth we as a people, when something's going on, when something's going wrong upstairs, that we can't go and try to get it fixed? Why you think that is, brother B.M.T?
Well, I'm gonna give a little history lesson on something just to help educate y'all.
Go ahead, man. Hit us with the nuggets.
Back then, we used to we didn't always have welfare. We didn't always have the welfare state. I know some of y'all, it's hard to believe, but we didn't always have the welfare state. At the time before Lyndon B. Johnson, when they first started coming in with the crack era and also the dope and drugs, which already systematically start to unravel the black home along with combat and different infrastructures of the state, we did try with the Black Panthers and different black coalitions to actually treat our people. It was around that time that the black community started to recognize that there is a deep sickness inside the community, because we learned that by continuing to be dependent on a system that pretty much used you, abused you, and then reused you was unhealthy. So we started trying to use different types of treatment to try to treat the men and the women. And the problem that happened was the system regurgitated us and threw us out. You would have men that would go to the prison and get treated, but not treated in the way that they should have got treated. I mean, I'm not sure if y'all heard some of the cases. You've had sexual abuse in the home, just like the brother said. It is more common than it should be, especially in lower income areas. How many times have we heard that some people have never left the hood, but they have multiple babies out there? Now, I'm gonna tell you how genetic work. If y'all ever heard of the royal family, how they kept it in the family or kept it in the blood. If nobody knows who the daddy is, but the daddy's getting around, daddy might have 2 or 3 kids, one on this side of the town and another one on that side of town. As we all know the story, Papa was a Rolling Stone. You have a 3 out of 16% chance, 3 out of 16, that those babies are going to meet up. But they don't know who the father is. So what do you think might happen? Especially if nobody ever left the black community. If everybody's boxed in.
Oh boy, you're getting ready to go somewhere.
Oh, you know I'm good.
I'm glad.
With
I'm
this.
glad.
Now, it's starting to get real dark now.
I can't wait till you finish because I talk about this shit too. Go ahead, brother.
So let's continue going.
Go ahead.
This happens a lot that some people say, I never left my home. I never left town. You see, big family. But see, one thing Daddy never told, that Daddy was not only with just Mrs. Johnson, but also with Miss Parker down the street on Sunday afternoon. So it's only so long before little Timmy and little Sarah might one day meet. But see, you don't know which one of y'all might have the bad gene in your body. And if y'all two do meet, and guess what? Oh, this is very common in Black communities. This is very common. Y'all can try to debate me if you want, but I promise you, you can go look at some of these Black communities. How many people do we know that if we go back to our hometown, have actually left that hometown? So, it gets very dark.
Oh boy.
Because you got to think that you're taught and trained at a mental state. Well, shit, I stay close to what I know. Why is that? Why are you taught to stay close to what you know? But if you are afraid to go out and venture out, that's why it said, and I don't want to have to throw the Bible at y'all, but God literally told y'all, be fruitful and multiply. That's why he said, go out and multiply. He didn't say stay close up and multiply. Because because one thing that happens is when it starts to dilute the blood. Now you start to have infractions. You start to see instability. If Daddy had a little bit of a chance to have bipolarism, but he never got treated. But guess what? Daddy had sex with Miss Parker and Miss Johnson, and out of those 5 kids, guess what? 2 of those kids are going to very well have bipolarism. And then what will happen is, guess what? One of them is going to be unaccountable. Guess what happens to the gene? It doubles, it amplifies. Because it's already been weakened and hasn't been treated. And as we know, as an infection, the longer the infection goes on, the stronger it gets. This is why you see a lot of these young boys out here who are so uncertain about their actions. This is why you see a lot of these boys who, listen, I literally met this one boy. He was a hardcore thug, as he told me. But as I looked up and down, and he was wearing heels, baggy pants. He had Chanel nails and stuff. Lip gloss on. I said, "What? Are you a thug?" He said, "Yeah, baby. Ain't no fear in my heart. I'm a man." But I'm like, "You standing outside in heels? Like, I ain't judging you, brother." Nah, bro. After that, he said, "I ain't gay." He said, "Better yet, come here, Junior." He called up 2 of his boys. 2 of his boys. So now you got a 50-50 chance that one of his boys is definitely going to have that infractured mindset of what it means to be a man. So guess what? When that boy has a son, he has a 75% chance. We can't make up these statistics because we see it right now today in the Black community. You wonder, listen, that's why now it's to the point where when we look at it's getting so bad now. The reason why a lot of us do not go get mentally treated because we have men that say, do not trust the system. I know each one of us have heard somebody say, don't trust that doctor. Don't trust the system. I ain't trusting no doctor. If I go in, you know what? I mean, Granddaddy Jack done went in to go see the doctor and he came out losing his leg. But see, the question we don't ask is, well, why didn't Granddaddy Jack go get the routine checkup? But if you get a routine checkup, guess what? They would have caught it. One of the biggest killers in the Black community is diabetes. And for men, E. coli cancer, colon cancer. Mm-hmm. Colon cancer. We are now the top in HIV. You don't ever hear Black people talk about we are the top now. 88.4% of homosexual or bisexual men have a chance of having HIV. You know how crazy that is? That was last time written down in 2017. If you look it up, if y'all don't believe me, please look it up. I did a show on it. It was I literally people were clicking off because when they were looking at it, it was too staggeringly bad. But you got to understand, this is the mind state of where we're going. And nobody's trying to tell us to slow down the train.
Well,
nobody's trying to tell us to say that we need help.
Well, isn't that part? I mean, because I just want to piggyback off of what you were saying.
Go ahead, brother.
Because this is just a fact. Black people, 75% of us, okay, y'all can look this up too. 75% of us will never leave within a 50-mile radius of where we were born. Now, you're talking 3 out of 4. Okay, 3 out of 4 black people will never leave within a 50-mile square radius of where they were born. The city I live in right now is bigger than 50 square miles. Okay, that's like me staying in this miserable city my whole life. And like you talked about before, because I want to tie this in with y'all. All right, I'm gonna tie this in. Being that 75% of us, 3/4 of us, never leave from a 50-mile radius of where we were born, right? Now, you take that and you multiply the fact of brothers with 20 babies, 30 babies, 40 babies, right? Yep. Now, these brothers with these 20, 30, 40 babies, right? Especially when you got these 20, 30, 40 babies and these kids don't know who their fathers are. Now, 75% of those children aren't going to leave that area. That's just a fact. They are going to be there, and they are going to grow up, and they are going to grow up without knowing who their father is. Okay. Now, what do you think the chances are that these freaking kids mess around and get together, okay, and start mating? Same father, right? I know of a story. I've read of stories where girl meets guy. Girl brings guy home to meet father, and father is uncle because father's brother is this kid's father. You understand? I've read those stories. I've done shows about those stories. And I think that has happened a lot with us. I mean, I've said this many, many times before, and I think it bothers people. And I've said this, and I know for a fact that some of us are incest babies. Some of us have to. Some of us have to be, man.
It's true.
It's true. Brother X, I had somebody from my neighborhood, in my old hood, use that same terminology when I asked, how come so many of these folks tend to die young? Some of these folks die young, and those were the exact words she used.
It's genetics, man.
Yes, man. I mean, because when you're talking about, see, one thing about incest babies, okay? Now, it's not concrete, but there are a lot of that come from incest, okay? Especially when y'all have the paternal strands. I mean, you can come out with a misshapen skull, fused limbs, and you know what else is a big side effect of incest babies? Mental problems, small brains, lack of brain development. All that stuff ties in with mental health. Because if you done messed around and you done been born by two people who have the same father, it's a pretty good chance that you could mess around and come out with not just fused limbs or a misshaped skull. I mean, you could come out with all kinds of, you could come out with hemophilia. You could come out with microcephalus, where you have a little small head. You can have cleft palate comes from that. Clubfoot. What else? Albinism is often caused by incest. Okay, severe asymmetry of your face, where one side of your face is this way and the other side is the other way. You can also have dwarfism, infertility, okay, scoliosis. I mean, it goes on and on. Immune system problems. I mean, you can have so many things can happen to you just for the simple fact that you and the person you had this child with have the same father. Okay.
Here, Brother X, let me ask you this though. What are the chances of close relatives getting together and having kids if they let's lift us up from Western civilization in 2018 and let's go back to 1018, drop us on the continent,
Okay.
and is there a chance that there would be, you know, for want of a better word, inbreeding, even in a hunter-gatherer scenario?
I would
And
assume it would be. But see, what people got to understand about us as black people, and I know this kind of shit makes black people uncomfortable, but I like making black people uncomfortable. We need sunlight shined on this shit.
mhm,
When we were brought over here, okay, they had breeding grounds. They had them in Maryland, they had them in Cuba as well. And what they would do, okay, what they would do is they would put a paper bag over your head, right?
mhm,
A man and a woman, and they would put y'all in there and force y'all to have sex. And this is what would happen. Guys would be going in there with their sisters, men would be going in there with their daughters, sons would be going in there with their mothers. Where you think the term motherfucker comes from? Where you think that comes from?
mhm.
So we as a people have this in our history. And like I said, people don't like to talk about it. Oh, let's not talk about it. God damn it, on TPOT, we're going to talk about it because this shit needs sunlight. So we have a history of that because it was forced on us centuries ago. It was forced on us. So people often talk about inherited trauma. And I believe that with a lot of us, we have inherited it, that trauma. We have inherited that propensity to do these things. We have inherited the mind frame that this may not be all that bad. You understand? I think that a lot of the sexual molestation is tied to incest. And I will tell you why. Because when 9 times out of 10, 80% of the time, okay, when a child finds themselves molested, it's usually by someone who is already in a relationship with the mama. You understand? So therefore, they are they are having these desires for a child that is the child of someone they supposedly are involved with or are in love with, because that in itself is a form of incest in itself. Okay, because guess what? If you're there, you are a quote unquote father figure. You are quote unquote stepdad. Your stepdad. And I think the incestuous nature that creeps through these creeps' heads, this is what makes them do these things to this child. Also, a little touch of mental illness is in play there too, the continuing of the cycle. The same when it's Uncle Jimmy, Uncle Bob, Uncle Rick, Grandpa, Auntie Katie. Guess what? A lot of these people are already related. They're related to this child. So not only is it a molestation when they do this, it is incest at the same time. You understand? You understand, folks? Not only are they molesting this child? Not only are they committing a vile act on this child, they're also committing incest because this person is related to them. Which means if this person was probably of age, they would have no problem having a relationship with them because they don't even let the barriers of bloodlines stop them. You understand? You understand?
Let me say, because I'm a piggyback off of you, and I'm glad we having this talk because this is a lot of stuff. I try to tell a lot of sisters, a lot of black women, be careful of what you entertain and you let in your house. Because the absence of a man, you don't know what kind of attention that you're entertaining. You made a very stapled comment when you said the ratio of black women that get abused and sexually assaulted in their own home. Sometimes this is by daddy, uncle, cousin. Sometimes they go to spend the night with their cousins, and one of the other cousins forces himself on them, and they never say anything. Sometimes this happens when, this happened. They're so ashamed they don't say nothing for years. You got to wonder, how does that woman react around other men? How does she? What did you see? I remember this one girl that said that she was raped so many times by her father. The only way that she could not feel the pain that she felt was by having more sex. She has 9 kids. 9. What do you think is going to happen to one of those kids? History will repeat itself. It's going to restart up. Because they're going to see the mother enacting that same act. Okay? I mean, I want y'all to understand this. I know some of y'all are going to understand what I'm saying. I'm going to get there. When you see, and this is why I try to tell a lot of y'all women, be careful how y'all walk in front of y'all young boys. Be careful of how y'all entertain men in front of y'all children. Because I understand you're trying to get your fixation, but the child's mind of whatever you doing, of how you dealing with your sexual abuse, the child is going to cause a trigger. When y'all dress a certain type of way and say, I can do like a man, and then the young boy's like, okay, well, I see that mentally this is what females want, to be grabbed and groped and different other stuff. That boy assumes that's okay in society. But see, we tend to forget that this young boy is trying to figure out the emulation of what is good and what is bad. But see, because he's seen nothing but bad sexual things in his mindset. Like I had one of my neighbors, this boy, I literally caught them looking at, like a little porno thing, whatever they're looking at on their cell phone. I said, boy, how you know about all that stuff? I see my mama do this all the time.
Wow.
But see, in his mind, that was normal. What do you think he's going to be thinking when it's time to go to school? What do you think he's going to be thinking of the emulation of a woman? Y'all brothers get what I'm saying? So the mindset of how this boy is viewing how a woman is supposed to be treated, it's okay to see mama get slapped. She's okay. I said, I remember I ran over to, back then we ain't had no money. We stayed in a bad neighborhood. Woman was getting her behind kicked by her boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? My old lady say, Joe, go in there and stop him. I said, why? It didn't even faze me. I said, they do this shit all the time. Joe, go over there. Come on now. Do the right thing. What would Jesus do? I said, Jesus probably moved the hell on out. But I said, I'll go over there. I walk in there. The kid's sitting right there playing Xbox, not even phased. What does that tell you when a child's not phased by that type of abuse going on around them? That means they done absorbed it in their mindset. That's normal.
Can I tell you a story about being unfazed?
Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead, brother.
I substitute taught 18 years ago at in the Camden school system, and I ended up in being assigned to a very hard to manage 5th grade class. And you talk about not being phased. There was one little boy who caused me to go off. And by this time, a lady, a teacher from the, room next door came over, and we were outside. I got in this little kid's face and just screamed at him. And this female teacher had to pull me back. But what I noticed about the kid, he didn't even flinch. If somebody had yelled at me like that when I was in 5th grade, I'd have been like, kind of like that, But the fact that this kid, you're right. I don't know what the heck is going on at home, but for him not to even react to a grown man getting into his face, there's something wrong with that picture.
It's conditioning, man.
Yes.
I mean, the mental condition of a lot of people, even if it's not inherited, you can pass off a way of thinking to someone, especially when you're talking about small children. Because what do they do? What do small children do? They watch the adults that they are around, right? So if a parent or parents are doing a particular thing or are reacting to a particular stimuli, if you will, if this child sees this enough, he will start to mimic that. Yes. Even if that thing is thwarted, even if that thing is warped, even if that thing is totally abnormal, if the child sees this enough, he will start to pick up that same type of thinking when he's confronted with that same stimuli, if you will. Even if the way that the parents are reacting, even if the way they are reacting is totally off the charts, out of the norm, if that child watches it enough, he starts to internalize that. And you can internalize what you see. Therefore, now that you have internalized it, when you are faced with that same thing, that same situation, that same crisis, you will react the same. You will react the way you have been conditioned to react. The reason why that young kid, okay, and you strike me as a pretty good-sized guy, Brother Quad B, getting up on this little boy. The reason why I didn't phase him, you know why? Because he's been conditioned. He sees that kind of stuff all the time. It wasn't unusual to him at all. It was just another day because he's been conditioned to think that what you did, that's normal. He probably sees that kind of crap all the time. And not only that, more often than not, in Black society, many of us are not conditioned. That's another mental thing we got. We don't have the conditioning to respect male authority. Yes. We don't respect male authority at all. And in most of Black society, we don't have any respect for male authority because a lot of us live without it.
Please let me go on this one.
Live without it.
Please let me get on this one. And I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what is that is a very. If y'all don't get nothing from us, I'm gonna tell you how dangerous that is getting. Every other community, besides the Black community, is run by male authority. Don't let what these protesters, all the other crazy stuff y'all see going on. See, the thing about it, because the Black male authority has been dumbed down. And when you have it where this young boy, just as the brother was saying, when I got up in his face, he was not fazed. You see, y'all heard, I'm pretty sure y'all heard the term, fear keeps you alive. Because if you had a man that's always been dominant in your life get up in front of you and puff his chest out, you puff down. Because you don't want to get slapped. You don't want to get disciplined. But you see, because these boys haven't learned how to check their emotions and learn how to learn restraint, haven't given that type of discipline and mental focus, because they're so used to seeing. It's so bad with blacks that what we see on TV, we can't differentiate if it's real or not. I remember when I was doing a story on that young rapper who got killed, I had black guys calling me up saying that it's not real, it's fake. I was like, Negro, they literally are doing an autopsy on his body. But because the black community is so different, we're so distant from reality on what's right and wrong, on what's normal. Seeing a group of women fight in the street like a pack of hyenas, to us, that's a normal Sunday. You don't see any other group do that. For us to see our men just drop dead in the street and say, well, thank God I made it to 21. You don't hear any other communities say that. But that's how bad we gotten. I remember to make it to 21. Y'all heard that before. If thank God you made it to 21 if you're a black boy. You get to live live another day. But see, that was the mindset of a black male. Only we say, well, you're young and you're black. You got 2 strikes against you. So now you already got a mental stigma to them that, I got to watch my back. If I say the wrong thing, I'm going to get in trouble. And because we've had these unspoken kind of laws and stuff of how we view society or how things can come at us, our minuscule of society and how we deal with things has gotten so bad. Because now you're seeing it. Now you're seeing it, whereas we're being dropped in the streets by everything. Clearwater, Florida. You seen me do that story. Black man shot. How many police officers have shot brothers lately? How many times have you seen the police tell the brother get down and he's like, yo, stop. He starts to blow up. Now we understand as men that sometimes you got to just, I just got to take this L. Hopefully when I get to the jail, I can make a call and get out of here. I know some of y'all don't like to hear that. I know some of y'all will think that me saying this, I'm a punk, but I understand the law of the land. Where if I say the wrong thing, that could be the end of my life at that very second. You can't tell me differently, but I've been in Kentucky. I in a dark road with around 15 goddamn cops, and they thought I was carrying goddamn heroin. And I had a concealed weapon. You think I reached for that goddamn gun? Hell no. I said, sir. They said, sir, do you want to reach in your glove box? Nope. No, sir. I have a gun. I'm keeping my hands right here. You can go get it yourself. Sir, you can go. No, not a day. I had mentally in my mind, that child was saying, Josiah, keep your hands outside and keep it on that goddamn light. But I knew the minute I touched that and the other dude was it, gun, pop. But see, I mentally checked myself. A lot of these young brothers don't mentally know how to check themselves. And that's why we've seen a lot of young brothers dying. We see a lot of young brothers running out in the street fighting for streets that's not even theirs. Brothers inbreeding with their own goddamn sisters. Knowing damn well, wait, hold up, man. That's Sharonda? But they don't ask who's Sharonda's daddy. But you ain't never know who your daddy was. But damn, Sharonda look crazy. By the time the daddy do, oh Lord, I should tell them, but damn it, I don't want to get called out. Shit, I'll just let it play out. They don't know. That happens. Mama been sexually abused and raped. Guess what? She starts to take it out on her son. You ain't shit. You just like your daddy. Huh? Hitting him, beating on him. Guess what that happens to that boy? It builds up. This brother right here has to deal with him in that classroom. Now he don't give a damn what a man says, because guess what? Daddy walked out on me, and I got to deal with mama's BS, and mama has her boyfriend, and he be beating her ass, and I'm supposed to listen to y'all black men?
I should add something. If
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother. I know you. I know it's in your heart. You're like, bro, I know that.
Here's one of the things I also found as a substitute teacher was that yelling from behind the desk doesn't work. Back in the day, when I was a little kid in school, in an integrated school, you had to, the teacher said something from behind the desk at you, you just had to take the L, the embarrassment. Mm-hmm. Now they'll bark back at you. You know what I'm saying? They if you say something to them from behind the desk, that's an affront. That's an affront. So what I found was, if I say to them, "Can we have a conversation outside?" They'll go outside, and I'll tell them, "Look, you got your work assigned. I'm handing it out to you. But it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. I'm not going to blow smoke up their behinds." I'm like, "Look, just keep it down." You know what I'm saying? Because when you don't keep it down, you taking money out of my pocket. You feel me? And usually they'll be like, all right, Mr. Williams. And we go in and we're good. We go back. So yeah, sometimes you can get through, but you gotta, it's trial and error. You gotta finesse it.
I 120%. I got a question. Mm-hmm. How many of those kids, if you had 27 kids, how many of those kids out of those 27 kids could you just by looking at them could figure that they came from a broken home out of 27 kids?
God, how many?
Just by looking at them.
I hate to say it, but the majority, and of course it depends on where you are and what locality. But can I tell just by looking? You mean looking at their dress, looking at their faces, looking at hair?
Just dealing with them for a 1 week of just dealing with them, and just by after looking at them and stuff. Like, I already know you come from a fucked up goddamn home.
Well, you know what though? 1 week, I've never stayed in one place 1 week. In one classroom for a whole week. I was bouncing from class to class, to school to school. That's how it usually worked. But being a sub, man, being a sub is interesting. It's very interesting. But hey, Brother X, you were talking about, I wanted to say something else about one of those inherited diseases, mm-hmm. Which was
it was autism.
Autism,
schizophrenia, bipolarism, mm-hmm. ADHD, and one more.
I wanted to focus in on bipolar. Mm-hmm. I remember years ago, some Brit woman told me she has had bipolar disorder, and bipolar. Let's just say she said bipolar disorder was like, when she was up, it was like being high on cocaine, mm-hmm. right? And I'm like, really? Like, really? Because I just said, really? Just because. But she said, when you come down, you come down. And I'm like, wow. So your brain, she described the brain mimicking the effect of of a stimulant drug, cocaine. I was blown away by that. I'm like, damn, you don't even have to snort it. Your brain can just conjure it up just like that. Oh my God.
Well,
No, I was just saying, I didn't really know what it was at the time. And I thought it was, well,
I believe that
mhm,
a lot of the conditions that we live under, especially as men, because think about the world that we live in as men. Masculinity is always under attack. They always want to quell down any masculine traits, even with young children, in school. If a boy is acting out, they automatically want to throw him in special ed. They automatically want to
mhm,
Yes.
diagnose him with some type of
mhm,
disorder or something like that. And 9 times out of 10, more than likely, he's probably just being a little boy. But if he's showing those masculine traits, it's always tamped down. It's always shh. It's always going the corner. But that's due to what? I mean, the bulk of the people who teach it in public schools are who? White women. So,
mhm,
of course, when you have a male black child inside of a classroom, anything that he does that even mimics some degree of masculinity will be checked. All right. It will be checked. And I believe that, along with the home life of these children, the abuse they go through, the poverty, the not being able to eat, to not being able to have your own bed to sleep in, to being left at home by yourself for a week, to find yourself beaten by mama all the time, beaten by mama's boyfriend all the time. You know, all of those things combined, and then from that, you come from that and go to a schoolhouse where they don't even want you to act like a boy. So you can't tell me that young brothers aren't growing up with all kinds of mental problems. They're suffering from all kinds of mental 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 challenges because of their home life and or the school life.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't be shocked when we see these brothers out in the street doing what they're doing, killing folks and knocking old ladies in the head and stealing and robbing liquor stores and stabbing people because they stepped on their sneaker and all this kind of nonsense. Because see, anyone of average mentality knows that this stuff is wrong, right? They
mhm.
know that this stuff is wrong. They know that this stuff is abnormal. But these people have been conditioned. These brothers have been conditioned so much that they see it as normal. It's part of their everyday life. It's part of their everyday existence. And it's all well and good until their ass mess around and get locked up or find themselves shot, stabbed, or dead. Okay? Because I'm a true believer that a lot of black men that find themselves dead and a lot of black men that find themselves shot or find themselves in the penitentiary, I believe a lot of those brothers, if they had their head screwed on straight, they wouldn't be in that predicament. Whether it be from the abuse they suffered at home, whether it be from the quelling of masculinity in the public school system, whether it be the sexual abuse that they may have endured. I believe that all of those things combine and they fuck up the mentality of men, especially black men, because black men have this invisible pressure cloud riding over us anyway. That's just something we have. We have this invisible pressure cloud that rides over our heads. You can feel it when you walk into a store and there's a lot of white folks in there. You can feel it when you're somewhere where there's white people at. You can feel it when you walk into an elevator and there's white women in the elevator, and so on and so forth. You know, so we walk with that pressure. We walk with that invisible pressure cloud on us anyway. Now, how we respond to it usually dictates the outcomes. Okay. Because a lot of brothers see that, because I've seen brothers deal with that in a totally different way. than I do. When I see that kind of stuff, I just kind of ignore it. You know, I mean, like, cause you know, you're a white bitch. I probably got more money on me than you got in your purse anyway. But other brothers see that and react differently. They be like, oh man, why you snatching your purse? What you looking at? Why you staring at me? You messing with me because I'm black? So, you know, that, and you can't really be mad at them for them to why they respond like that, because they're probably responding like that over a course of time. This is what they've been subject to. Me personally, I don't pay that shit no mind. All right. Because where I live at, there's a lot of white folks where I live at. So I kind of run into that stuff all the time. You know, white women see me coming, you know, they clutch their purse, you know, they see me coming, they lock the door, you know, that kind of shit. You know, because I'm 6'2", I'm a pretty decent sized black man. I'm 6'2" and I weigh about 230 pounds. So I'm not a small black man. So I guess my size, my color, the gape in my walk makes them nervous. I don't know, and I don't care. But if you are a person who cannot deal with these things, if you cannot deal with this invisible pressure cloud that floats over the top of a black man's head most of his life, you will react adversely. Or you may take that pressure that you feel and act it out somewhere else. You may act it out somewhere else. You may not necessarily act it out on the people who are doing it, but after a course of time, after it's built up, you may just absolutely be acting out because of it. Because, see, it has affected you. It has affected you mentally, man. It's had an effect on your mentality. I believe that too.
Let me add on to what you just said, because I don't want us to pass that up, what you just said. And I shout out to Nisha Tats about that microaggression, because that's something that to us as blacks, that's an everyday thing. For us as blacks, if you're a passive black, you get walked on. For a black man, there's either the passive or the aggressive. There's no in between anymore. Either you have the aggressor who actually speaks and does not take the bullshit, or you're gonna have your passive side. Now, this is something that we got to learn as blacks, because when it comes to the work and in everyday life, you got to know which one you need to use. And as you already know, the police ain't having no problem. People ain't having no problem calling the police on black folks anymore. They doing that shit for fun now. I mean, it's just getting ridiculous. And what's going on is, see, I know exactly what you're saying, Prophet. I know exactly how it feels whenever you can have the money and go inside Best Buy, but because you look a certain type of way or you dress a certain type of way, they don't take you serious. I walk around in the t-shirt and sweatpants. I don't have to flaunt it. But see, the way how the media and statistics have geared society to viewing the black man unorganized, dysfunctional, aggressive,
illiterate.
Yes. Y'all, I mean, think about it. When a foreigner comes to America, or anybody comes around the black man, it's really a good positive outlook that they have on us. Even so, the Africans, when they get over here, they don't like to deal with us. Now, what we will say is, that's just me being black. I'm like, wait. You saying me being fucked up is being black? What kind of fucked up thinking is that? But then, if I try the passive, non-aggressive approach, I'm white. If I want to be the brother who reads, that don't want to fight and argue, that actually wants to listen to my woman, I'm weak. I'm soft. I'm a simp. I'm a punk. So then you're like, well, damn, I just can't win.
Can I jump in?
Go ahead, brother.
Why do you give a flying fuck what anybody thinks about you?
No. Listen.
You know what I mean?
Listen, bro. You speaking to the choir. I quit giving a shit what
Okay,
these niggas
yeah,
say about
okay.
me. I don't
But
care.
see,
I know who I
our
am.
problem right now, and that's our problem. We're trying to work within this system that was not meant for us, and yeah, some of us managed to navigate it well, but to a point. And what can I say? But as far as what white people think about us or other black people think about us, at some point, those of us who are trying to work in the system, because sometimes I feel like I'm being shamed at times for having been able to slip in when the door, in the corporate America, when the door was ajar. And I said I had said that the thing about corporate America is, by the way, it is not, speaking of, while we're on that school tip, it's not that far from middle school or high school, more closer to middle school sometimes, because some folks act like 12-year-olds. But yeah, if you try to, no matter, you're gonna get it no matter what. So why give a fuck? Anything you do, somebody ain't gonna like.
Exactly. That's
It's just the way it is. The way I move. So I'm sure some people thought I was one of the biggest quote unquote Uncle Toms out there.
But look how
look how
they push that mindset on you that
yeah, I know, and I'm getting rid of it. I'm
a sellout. What the fuck?
Why do you? Here's why I call myself bamboozled. That was my original name. Well, that's what Quad B means. Bamboozled black baby boomer. That's why I call myself that. I'm learning a lot that I didn't know before, and I've learned more in the last 4 years than I picked up in the previous 31. But it bothered me. But after a while, it's like, fuck it. You gotta do what you gotta. You do what you feel like you gotta do.
Well, let me throw
that's good for your mental health too.
Yeah, well,
not giving a fuck is really good for your mental health.
Absolutely. Let me throw something at you, brothers. Now, which do you believe is worse? Do you believe it's worse to be conditioned to think that you are selling out, that you possibly may be a Sambo because you work within white corporate America, you found your way in there? So is it worse to be conditioned to think that you are a Sambo or a sellout because of that? Or is it worse to be conditioned to think that because you're black, you should be in this particular place? You should be limited to living in the hood. You should be limited to understanding that you're never going to get past X amount of place in your life because you are a black man. Now, let me throw this at y'all. Some people will say that it's worse to be conditioned to think that you have to be in with white folks to make money. Then on the other hand, there's some people who will say that it's worse to be conditioned to think that you have to remain in this stagnant state, living in poverty, not having no money, and dying broke. Let me ask you, fellas, which one of those mental conditions do you think is worse, and which one do you think affects us more as black men? Go.
Go ahead, bro.
I'd rather walk off from Egypt. And I won't ever fucking come back. I'm gonna just let y'all know right now. I've been done started walking away. Because the black mentality that is given to us was a system set up to genocide us. We went from 15% to 13.4%. Do the math. We're dying off slowly. The mindset that the black man, the quote unquote nigga, is supposed to have right now is killing us. No one kills the black man better than the black man. No one kills off and beats his woman better than the black man. The white man doesn't have to drive the car anymore because he's an autopilot. And for those of us as black men and the women that understand that train of thought that's deadly, and if I'm going to survive, I have to learn how to adapt. I have to learn how to speak the king's language. I have to learn how to work around and work with other people. I can't get everybody out of Egypt. But for those of us who want to get out, I can say, hey, brother, this is what I'm doing. You can come on too. Because we know if we had stayed in there, a part of us will either, some of us right now on this panel will probably be dead. When I was part of the black community, riding or dying, I lost 2 kids. 2 kids. One child, the mother and the child were killed. So I guess what? I tried to have another baby. Because I didn't want to sell dope. Guess what? She got a back alley abortion. But see, in the black community, it's okay. There's no damning this. It's just another nigga dead. So I realized that, yo, I can't live for these streets because these streets ain't living for me. And it's bad because some brothers don't, by the time they're laying down in a jail cell late at night and they say, lights out, that's when it hits them. Or when they're laying in that hospital bed bleeding out. They're like, God, why didn't anybody tell me or stop me? But for those of us who understand that the true battle ain't no longer listen, right now they don't care what happened to the black community. Don't y'all understand? I want some of y'all to understand when y'all hear this prophet of thought on this show, they don't care about our mind state anymore. But right now we're in a self-destructive mind state. Our babies are dying. The men are dying. Well, the men are mostly gone. We argue more about laying down with white women. I ain't give a damn who you lay down with or who you do with. But you don't see us getting triggered by who we reproduce with. About the latest hair. We talk about more about the stupid stuff than the stuff that we need to be talking about. Getting property, land, getting a school. It's 2018 and we still don't have a black hospital. God damn it. The Jews got a hospital. The Chinese got a hospital. The Indians got a hospital. But we don't got a hospital. But we provided more to medical science than anybody. But we don't got a hospital. Nobody don't find that crazy. But see, but understand this. Because we're so caught up on clothing, trends. I mean, nobody caught that when the white woman told LeBron James, why don't you just shut up and dribble a basketball? She was punking a black man on national television, and nobody found nothing wrong with it. Because understand this, when the nigga starts to think, that's when the nigga is dangerous. That's why they never want to. Why do you think they say, if you want to hide something from a nigga, what do? Put it in a book. Why you think Malcolm was so deadly to the system? Because he started to read. He understood that when a brother starts educating himself, he's deadly. When we were going to schools and we started competing with our white contenders, we were deadly because we started to think. We started to correct ourselves. We started to educate and started to treat ourselves. But then guess what? Something happened. The brothers who were thinking and the sisters who were thinking, guess what? They start to get old and die off. And once they were cut off, once all the civil rights leaders were dead, Once all the mothers who were telling their boys to go to school were dead, and once if they had any boys who wanted to step up and said, no, we need to fight, and they said, no, baby. You didn't see what they did to your father? He's in prison. I know you don't like it, but you got to keep your head down. See, now that fear, that seed of fear was implanted in you. Back then, if y'all go look at the rules for the welfare system, a man is not allowed to be in the household. A dominant figure is not allowed to. Y'all don't believe me? My woman had my son. The nurse came in and said, listen, do you know who the father is? I'm standing right there by the woman, God damn it.
Wow.
Do you know who the father is? Oh, he's right here. Listen, if you want to get food stamps, I know right now, guess what, girl? Right now, they're going to start you out with $450 to $500. If you get in the system right now, they got something going on where they can get you also a housing voucher. Put his name down. She's saying this shit right to him when I'm in the bathroom. She didn't know I wasn't peeing. I was creaking the door, seeing what the black woman was going to tell her. But see, I wonder how many sisters signed that paper. Think about that. How many sisters signed that paper? I'm not saying all black women are bad, but I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying this is the mind state that is put on the black family. Brothers like you, brothers like Bamboozle, you're dangerous. Because Bamboozle's not afraid to go in the white man's office and debate his contract about how much he should get paid. Don't y'all notice a lot of these brothers, when they finish doing what they got to do, Prince, Michael, what's going on with all their money? What's going on with all their assets? Who's getting it? It ain't no black man. It's white people. Think about that. Every intellectual black man that ever gone up against the grain, what has happened to them? They got destroyed. We don't find that kind of crazy.
Oh, is that why I got laid off from jobs 9 times in the last 20 years?
But yet you had the education and the credentials to stand just like any other man on there, but yet they look at you first.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know, brother, but
no, I'm just playing around, but I'm half serious. I don't know, but all I can do is keep pushing. Like, just keep pushing.
Well, full disclosure, brothers, the reason why I started my own business was to preserve my own mental health. I had worked for white folks for many, many, many years, decades of working with white folks and working for white folks. And I just simply got tired of it, period. I mean, mentally, I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take working for the white man anymore. I couldn't take it. So I threw all my eggs into one basket and I took the leap. I took the risk. I threw all the money I had into it, started it from nothing because I never got a loan from a bank. I never had to put my house up or none of that shit. I mean, I started literally with nothing. In the first, say, year and a half, I mean, it was hemorrhaging money. I mean, I was taking money from other sources, keeping the business afloat. And now, 4 years, almost 5 years later, I do pretty good. I do okay. I'm not rich, but guess what else I'm not? I'm not beholden to any fucking white man, anyone. I work when I want to fucking work. And when I don't want to work, I don't. And I don't have no white man telling me anything. They ask me. Yeah, they ask me. They don't tell me anything. They ask me. So the reason why I started my business is to preserve my own mental health, because I couldn't take the strain of working for white folks anymore. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't have white people telling me what to do anymore. I guess it was a revelation I had over the past 10 years or so. And I just start looking at everything differently. I start looking at white folks differently. And most importantly, I start looking at my own self and my own mental health differently. So I knew that I had to venture out on my own, or I probably was going to be in prison because I'd be done bust some white man in the head with a crowbar or something like that.
But Prophet, how many black people told you what you were doing was crazy?
Many people told me.
How many people told you to stop what you're doing and just get a job like the rest of us?
Man,
you know what I'm saying? Come eat the white man's cornbread and milk. I mean, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Many people told me that. You'd be surprised how many people's like, oh man, you're not going to be able to start your own business. Oh, how are you going to start your own business? Oh man, you need this, you need that. Oh, you shouldn't do it. You should just go ahead and get a regular job. Yeah, I heard that from a lot of people. I heard it from a lot of people. But you know what? See, I was never conditioned. See, I was raised by a man who had his own business. Okay, because my father had his own business. So I knew what it took. Okay. Now, did I have everything that it took? No, but I knew what I needed. And I wasn't going to let anybody deter me from what I wanted to do, because it was my mentality that I was trying to preserve. And of course, I wanted to create a sense of financial freedom for myself. I mean, of course, I make way more money than I would be making working for somebody else, because it's my shit. I'm the boss. But at the same time, man, it's mental freedom too. I mean, it's not just about money. I mean, it's also mental freedom. I'm free. All right. White man ain't telling me shit. White man don't tell me nothing. As far as my money's concerned, I don't listen to no white man. Only time I got to deal with the white man when I'm paying for my house or paying for my car or paying my insurance or some shit like that. And then I'm not really listening to him, because see, whatever he's doing for me, I'm paying that motherfucker for it. Okay. And I make it my business to patronize most of the black folks anyway. My insurance agent is a black dude. Okay. My insurance agent is a black guy. The guy I bought my last car from, black dude. I mean, I patronize black folks shit. I very seldomly deal with the white man. I try not to deal with the white man. The only time I deal with the white man is when the white man's paying me for something. I try hard not to deal with the white man. I really do. Sometimes it can't be avoided, but I make it my business to try to not deal with the white man. Like I said, the last car I bought for my wife, I went to a dealership where ain't nothing but brothers working in there. Bought the car from a black brother, insurance agent, black brother. You know what I'm saying? When I go and pay my bills, I hand my money to black folks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just who I am. That's who I am. Now, other people, I don't know. People say that that's crazy. People tell me I'm crazy because I deal with black folks. So, we all have our different kind of crazy. We all have our different kind of crazy, but my crazy is geared towards more black people. Okay. I started my business. When I started my business, originally, I started it for the brothers so they can come to me and not get raped across the coals. But over the past 4 years, the business has grown. So now I have a PH I do. Just brothers. I get business from Hispanics. I get business from Asians. I get business from white people. So everybody's money is green. And far as white people are concerned, I don't mind taking their damn money anyway, because they done took enough money from us. I feel that it is my duty. It is my duty to get some of it back.
And you can do the same thing, Brother X, in corporate America. If you can get in, you can do the same thing. I also want to say that got to get our young kids into STEM. Yep. Because someone's got to program those robots.
Yep.
Both my sons are in there, and they compete. And my son is 6 years old. He reads at a 9th grade reading level. At a 9th grade reading level. At one time, they were telling me that he needs Ritalin. I said, keep that shit away from my son. I said, boy, take that damn test. You can get in there just like the rest of them. But Dad, they say I think differently because you're a black boy. You're not trained like them. I train you differently. He went in there. He got accepted on his first try into STEM. You see, y'all gotta understand, we are not like everybody else. That mindset that you have, Prophet, you have to train your mindset that no matter what, I won't go back to that kind of bullshit. It's a great feeling to know what's mine is mine. That's a great feeling. When you turn on the lights to that damn building and you turn it off, you know it's you by you doing that. Nobody owns J.R. Johnson LLC. I own my own stuff. I've been running my own stuff for 6 years now. I'm a free black man. I remember one time I had a white dude said, "Well, with that kind of mentality, your boss is gonna fire you." I said, "How the hell am I gonna fire my damn self?"
Exactly.
I said,
Somebody told me that shit, man.
I
Somebody
said,
told me
shit, how the hell I'm gonna fire my own damn self? Oh shit.
a lady was at my shop and she had came and she had left her mower there and she wanted a new blade put on it. And I told her, I said, well, you know, it could be done for $35, right? So she gets there, she leaves the mower there, she comes back and she wants to pay 25. Now I had told her on the phone that it was $35. So she's like, "Oh, I want to speak to your boss." I'm like, you're speaking to my boss right now, lady. You're speaking to my boss. So let me tell you something. One thing I tell brothers, and I don't tell brothers anything that I'm not doing myself, have done myself, or prepared to do myself. And this is what I would tell brothers. I'm not going to tell you to quit your job and not have a job. Having a job is good because you need to take care of yourself. But let me tell you, brothers, something. Whatever job you are working as a young guy, because I wish I had did this, okay, many, many years ago. Whatever job you are working as a young guy, put your mind on focusing on eventually doing something for yourself. If you want to enjoy some freedom, because as long as you are punching a clock for somebody else, you're never truly free. Because the day you wake up and you don't want to go punch that clock, guess what? They're going to get rid of your ass. The day you walk in that job and walk in there and get in there and be like, you know what? I don't think I want to work today, and just walk out, they're going to get rid of your ass. If you want to feel true freedom as a black man, especially if you want to feel true freedom and a free mind, eventually, brothers, you're going to have your own where you call the shots. Trust me, nothing is greater for your mentality than being able to call your own shots. Trust me. I mean, when you are able to call your own shots in your own life, let me tell you something. It frees up a lot of other so-called mental traffic in your life as well.
And Brother X, this is the kind of game that I wish somebody had told me when I was 25 and thought I was all that in a bag of fucking chips.
Yeah, well, my father told it to me. My ass just wasn't listening.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. We didn't too well, did we?
I just ain't listen. I didn't start paying attention to the shit till I was like 40.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was paying attention to that shit when I was 20. Right now, I could probably be a millionaire.
Yeah, when you 40, that's when the switch finally goes off.
Yeah, that's when it goes off, man.
It's like, wait a minute.
That's when I took the leap. I took the leap when I was 40. I mean, when I turned 40, I decided that I didn't want to work for people anymore, especially white folks. I was like, I'm not working for white folks no more. I'm going to go ahead and throw my hat in the ring and see where it lands, man. You know, because I wanted to be free. I wanted to be able to call my own shots. I didn't want to have to answer to white people anymore. I had answered to white people for many, many years. I didn't want to do it anymore. So I took the leap, you know. You're listening to the Prophet of Thought series right here on the old TPOT YouTube page. I got brother B.M.T here from Black Male Talk, and Quad B is in the house as well. And as you can see the title, we are talking about the mental health of men, particularly black men. So I want y'all to do me a favor. If you will, go ahead and put some likes up in this area right here somewhere. And if you're feeling generous with your coins, throw a few coins in the bucket right there. You see right there where it says the Prophet of Thought series look like it's been swiped with a yellow highlighter. If you're feeling generous with your coins, drop a few coins in the bucket. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. If you're not feeling generous with your coins, be generous with your likes. If you ain't generous with your likes, be generous with your coins. But if you're feeling really generous, put some coins and some likes. Some likes here and some coins there. It is greatly appreciated. Yeah, so we coming almost to the end of the show. So I want y'all brothers to give me some final thoughts on what we can tell the young brothers, because I say brothers like me, we already gone. God damn it, we crazy already. But what can you brothers, okay? Because brother Quad B, you circumnavigated your way through the corporate world for many, many years. I know that about you. And brother B.M.T, I know that you run your own business. All right. You like me, you have your own business. So tell these brothers, if you would, how to not only address their mental health and mental stability, but also how to maintain it throughout their life.
Quad, you want to go first, or you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go first. I would say first, if you can get out of the United States of America, do it. Even the continental United States. That's because, let's just say, if you go down to the warmer spots of the, go down to the warmer spots of the world, basically, I think that can help you. I'm sorry, what was the question again? I'm kind of losing my train of thought here too.
Oh, that's all right. I said, if you could, tell the young brothers,
Okay.
how to, address their own mental well-being and how to.
Okay. Well, okay. Just to know that setbacks are going to happen. Failures are going to happen. You may want to make $1 million. You may not make your first million until you're 70. Just know that, stuff is going to happen in life. And my big issue, I'll tell you what my big problem was. I was too successful. I felt like I gained some successes too quickly, but that's how I thought things were supposed to roll. And then, but what happens is things change, and it's I still am working on changing up a mindset. The other thing I wanted to say was that if I were maybe 20 years younger, knowing what I knew today and if I weren't going to run a business, because that's what I would like to do at some point myself, I would teach public school, kindergarten in an inner city school system. A male black kindergarten teacher, hey, that will make quite the impression, trust me. At least that'll get them acclimated to a black man in authority. Even if they don't see it at home, they can come to school and see it. That's all I have. Thank you, Brother X.
Okay.
Well, I would tell a lot of you guys, whatever you're doing, and ladies, if you have a young brother, a son, I want you to give him this is stuff that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time. I want you to sit him down. Give him a paper, a notepad. Tell him, I want you to write down what you're feeling right now. From your job, to your friends, to the women you're dealing with. This is important. Because what you need that young man to do, or what I needed to do, was I needed to self-examine myself. Mine's happened when I got crapped out of a damn paycheck at Sonic's. And I was like, I'm tired of this shit. I'm going to burn down this damn restaurant. And as I was driving, my car started to, the starter started to act up. The throttle started acting up. And I was able to get to the side of the road. And I sat there and I cried. But I was tired. So when I looked around, but I knew if I had to let my engine cool down and get fixed, I saw a paper and I was writing out a letter. I thought I was going to go to jail that night. I started writing out a letter of everything. And I said, is this where I really want to be? Before I called my girl. And I said, let me try something. Let me start to change. And I agree with Quad. It's not going to happen overnight. No good thing will happen overnight. But see, the reason I tell you to write down where you want to be, because you got to know your progress of where you're going. So that way you don't lose focus. And start to surround yourself around men who are making changes in their life. Let me say that again. I had to start. They have a saying, if your right hand is keeping you from getting to heaven, cut it off. So I had to take the brothers that I cared and I loved, and I called them my own flesh and blood. I said, I got to get away from y'all. I can't sell no more dope. I can't smoke no more with y'all. I can't help y'all deal crack. I got to get out of here. I'm going to die in these streets. And yet they call me punk and fag, but it was okay. But they were never my friends. So I had to make that kind of drastic change. And see, I told my woman, I said, yo, baby, I got to get out of this town. Well, bye. That's exactly what she said in my face. But I never looked back. I started to become a journeyman. I started to learn how to do piping and carpentry. See, after I lost everything, that was the best time of my life, when I lost everything. Laying on that cockroach apartment and that mattress, eating ramen and Cocoa Puffs. All I had was time to myself. And I had to mentally start to change my mindset. See, brothers, y'all got to be willing to understand. If you want to change your life, if you want to fix your mental state, you got to willing to go through the it's called the relapse phase. If you're coming down out of crack or out of a drug, it's called relapse. It's where you're trying to get it out of your system, the buffoonery. And you got to be willing to go through that to get better. And as I started to do better and started to make more progressive movements, I had a white man stop me. Hey, brother, you want to learn how to drive this bulldozer? You want to learn how to do this? See, other people are going to start to notice you that never would talk to you because they see something in you and you're promoting yourself. Then after that, I started to take my money. I said, you know what? Instead of me spending my money on these frugal things that normally I was trained and conditioned to spend it on, let me start to invest it. I started taking my money. I bought me a nice little car. Not a flashy car, a nice car for point A to point B to go do my job. I started looking at different properties. I started educating myself. I picked up a book. I went around brothers who own property and I started asking them questions. Hey, so where do you go buy property at? Oh, well, you can go buy the county building. I mean, they have land up for auction. How many black people know that you can go by the county building and literally ask them what properties are up for bid? But see, that's something as black folks we do not talk about. We'll talk about did you see Beyonce in those booty shorts? Shit. But you don't hear us talking about property and management. But see, you got to have that drive and that hunger like X did. He said, after a while, I got tired of dealing with the white man. I wanted something differently. This brother said, I want to start teaching young adults that, a black man can be an authoritative figure. But see, he had to train himself. But see, we had to retrain our thinking of that. And see, brothers, as you're doing that, you have to keep on reinforcing and re-encouraging yourself. Keep around positive people. Keep people who are going to emotionally motivate you. You're going to have days where you're going to want to backslide. I'm not going to say you're not going to backslide. Oh, I had some days I backslid. But I have people say, listen, this is not what you want to go back to. Get out. I literally had a preacher when I came back to my old hometown. He said, what are you doing back here, Joe? Oh, I just came back here. No, you didn't. The Greyhound bus is going to be leaving off in 12 o'clock. I can get you back out of here. But, man, I don't like being around white people. That's good. So because you're uncomfortable being around them people, that means you ain't going to drop your guard. And if you ain't going to drop your guard, that means you always going to be on the ready. He put me right back on that bus. I went right off the boot camp. Because that's the one thing. Black folks, we got to stop being comfortable and get into our battle-ready state. You know, like a boxer always got his hands up ready for the jab. You got to be ready for that. Brothers, you got to be mentally ready for whatever's going to be thrown at you, because that's how life is for a black man. They're going to throw jazz at you. They're going to spit on you. But it's up to you if you're going to take the punches and keep on giving the jazz back. Your woman is not going to always agree with you. I can tell you that right now. But you got to be willing to say, baby, just trust me and let me see you through this. If I mess up, I'll let you, baby, if I mess up, correct me. Pull me to the side, correct me, and we'll try it your way. See, that's the man. He's not afraid to admit that, I can be humbled. But you have to recondition and train yourself for that. Take your money, invest it. Fix your credit. Put your money aside so that way when you want to go get a house, you say, listen, I got my credit up. I have a job. I have a stable income. I would like to go buy some property. Sure. I bought my property. I sell houses. I'm looking at start pretty soon open up a towing company. I have dreams and ambitions. My woman wants to go get her CDL. I said, babe, you want to go get your CDL? Yeah, I do. Why, are you going to laugh at me? No. But here, I'll tell you, I'll do you a plus. I will pay for you to go get your CDL. Because what you do can probably put us on the map for us changing up the game. How many black couples do you know own their own trucking company? But I bet you, goddamn it, I'm going to fight to get in that goddamn race. But see, that's the mindset we have to have, brothers, that we can change. We don't have to be what society tells us to be. This brother wants to be a teacher. If he opened up a black school, if he just takes but 5 kids, I will try to make one of my damn kids be one of those 5 kids. Okay. And I will encourage him. Exactly. And I will promote him. If this brother has a lawnmower business, let's promote and raise him up. I'll say, listen, if he has I'll say, brother, give me your business card. Whenever I do a show, I will shout it out at my show to promote black excellence. That there are brothers out there that are trying to change. I ain't trying to talk too long, but I'm trying to let y'all know that this mental mind game that we need to understand that it is a game changer for a lot of us. Listen to these successful stories, and they always will say the same thing. One day I mentally changed the way I was thinking.
Yep. That's where it all begins. And I'll close out with this. I know I'm a black man, just like all of y'all are black men. And we as black men, we endure a lot of shit. I mean, all 3 of us tonight have talked about this. As black men, we endure a lot of shit. We endure a lot of shit from white society. We endure a lot of shit from black society. We have many times people put low expectations on us, and we are remiss when we turn around and we fulfill those low expectations. So my words to black brothers, as far as the mentality of men goes, my first and most important suggestion to you is to think. Don't necessarily think like me. Don't think like brother B.M.T. Don't think like brother Quad B. But do think. Try to do more thinking than you do talking. Okay? Because see, the more you think, the more ideas you'll come up with, the better ideas you'll come up with. And guess what? Practice makes perfect. If you practice thinking, guess what? Your thinking gonna get better and better and better and better, just like anything else you do over and over and over. Okay? If you spend a lot of your time thinking, and I don't mean thinking about bullshit, I mean thinking about your life, thinking about your own mental well-being, your own mental stability. Because see, when you think and focus on your life, that is part of your mental stability, man. That's what's going to keep you right. You're not going to have mental stability if you have a whole bunch of bullshit going on in your life. You're just not. Because it's hard to stay mentally focused when you got 25 baby mamas and you're back and forth in court, the goddamn child support shit like that. Okay? It's hard to be mentally focused if every 3 years your ass is in jail. Okay? Y'all know where I'm going with this. If you want to have a good mentality, you have to be focused on your life. You have to think about your life. You have to think about what you want to do with your life. And also, if you're a brother with small children, you have to think about their lives too. because see, a lot of their mentality and their mental health is going to be based on you, the shit you do for them, how you are around them, how you treat them, and how they grow up with you. Okay, because like I said earlier, a lot of times these mental issues are inherited, but a lot of times they may not be inherited. They can be just something that can be given to a child just by watching you, just by watching you. So you need to think about that as a black man, because as a black man, we got enough shit riding over our heads. Remember, I talked about that invisible pressure cloud. Let that cloud be the only cloud that's over your head. Don't you start putting clouds and shit up there too. All right. It's one thing for this society to ostracize you, okay? To ostracize you and put you on the outskirts of everything and have you be the first blamed and the last chosen. Don't do it to yourself. That's the best thing you can do for your mentality, for your mental health, is to not do shit to yourself. But you're the only one who can make these decisions. No one can make these decisions for you. You know what's right for you. You know what's wrong for you. And I suggest you take a good long period to think about what's right for you. Because see, if you focus on the things that are more prevalent and right for you, I guarantee you, man, you're just going to be better off. Not just better off physically, not just better off financially. You can be better off mentally too. And that's really what it's all about. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming through tonight.
Thank you.
This is a deep show. Brothers got really, really deep on here tonight. I appreciate it. What I need y'all to do is run on down to Prophet of Thought series on Facebook. That's 2 words, Prophet of Thought series on Facebook. That's the main page. Get on up there, like, share it, follow the page. Go on there. There's always some good stuff on there. You can always catch up with what's going on the broadcast on there. Also, get on down there to the TPOT bandwagon page. That's a personal page. You can send a friend request. I'll make sure that it gets clicked quickly. And also make sure you find your way down to the Prophet of Thought series fan group page. That's right. The Prophet of Thought series fan group page. It's almost 3,000 members strong. Go ahead, request to be a member. You'll get accepted quick. Be one of the 3,000. Also, get on down there and check me out on WhatsApp and Instagram. That's Prophet of Thought on Instagram. If you follow me, you guaranteed to get a follow back when I get around to checking it. Also, make sure you get on down there and follow us on Twitter, the old TPOT Media page on Twitter. That's at TPOT Media on Twitter. That's at TPOT Media on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I will haunt your damn dreams for the next 6 months. Also, make sure you get on down there to the website, www.don'teventreit.wikifoundry.com. Get on down there, check it out. It's always some good stuff going on down there. You can also see some of my old archives, and make sure you get on down there and check out Tribute to the Fallen. And like I say every week, if you have somebody that has met an untimely demise due to police violence or street violence, make sure you send me the picture and their name, and I will make sure that they get up on the old carousel, the Tribute to the Fallen carousel. I've been getting a lot of pictures and a lot of names I've been adding to it. So my email and all that stuff is on the site. So get on down to Tribute to the Fallen. Hit me up. If you got a picture of somebody, if it doesn't have to be somebody that you know, it could be somebody that you saw on TV or somebody you saw in the news. Just make sure you send me the photo and the name, and I'll make sure they get up on the old Tribute to the Fallen carousel. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to thank all my mods in the chat, always doing what they're supposed to do. Also, I want to thank everybody who showed up tonight, spending some time with us. I want to thank you for watching. And also make sure you have your black behinds here tomorrow, because tomorrow I will be talking about the love of white folks right here, same time, same station, right here on the old TPOT YouTube page. So once again, I want to thank my guest of honor, Brother B.M.T from Black Male Talk, and Brother B.B.B.B, also known as Quad B. Now, if you want to hit these brothers' platforms up, just look right down here in the old description box. You will see both of their channels. If you want to check out Quad B, his channel is down there. And if you want to check out Brother Black Male Talk, his channel is down there too. Go on down there, subscribe to the brothers' channel, hit them up. They got good content. They got shit on there that your black behind should be listening to. So, once again, I want to thank y'all for coming through. I appreciate it as always, and make sure you join me right back here tomorrow, same time, same station, because we'll be throwing down another show. But anyway, with that, I will leave you with 3 words, like I always do: open your minds, and we are out of here, y'all.
The prophet of thought.
Peace, folks.
Peace.
See you guys.
See you. Take care. Nice meeting you, bruh.
Nice meeting you, Quad. It was such a good time.
All right, Mr. B.M.T. I'm gonna go and sub to your channel now.
I already sub to you, man.
Yeah, I saw you did. Thank you. I appreciate that. I need more subs. Man. I'm running a contest. I got a great STEM related prize to give away. So, yeah.
Like I said, if you ever want to, brother, like I said, I invite any brother or anybody to come on my platform and just sit down and chat with us, man.
You know what it is? Yeah. How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
30.
Okay, see, I'm an old head on this thing, and sometimes I wonder if my experience doesn't match 90% of the black people on here.
Why would you say that?
I'm like, just because of the age difference, just because the times we came about. I came about at a time when I thought racism was over, or overt racism was over, and I was pretty much dipped into into a vanilla. It's chocolate drop dipped into vanilla. Right. Integration.
Yeah, I know you wanted me to come down. Notice I done came back. I know you wanted me to come down there, Brother BMT. I mean, maybe we can do something next week, man. See, I'm only available at night.
Right.
Today, I'm swamped, so it has to be at night. But I'll come on down there and holler with y'all.
But honestly, like I remember when I was first starting out, and you know what I'm saying, I've done shows with different people, and I remember the first time I came in the Prophet Thoughts chat, and I said that, and it surprised me when he said, "Brother, why don't you come on the show?" I said, "Really?" I said, "But see, Prophet X is serious," and I came on. We had a good show. I never forget that. And I said, I want to keep that same energy, and I wanted to keep. And I said, anytime you want to come on X, you're always more than welcome.
Yeah, I'm gonna come through. I'm gonna come down there, man. I'm gonna come down there with you too, Quad B. I'm gonna be down there. Long as it's at night, I'll come through. Just let me know. Just hit me up and say, well, I'm doing such and such night. I actually I jumped in on your stream a couple days ago, brother.
You just left, and I was like,
no, it was raining like hell, man, and the damn internet kept going in and out and shit, man. That shit just went in, went out, then it just went out, wouldn't come back on no more. I was like, oh man, I guess because
we were doing that on Black Codes.
Yes,
the history of an evolution of Black Codes.
Yes,
and
my shit kept going in and out, man. The shit just went out. I was like,
I had a lot of brothers who wanted in on that one. Right now, that is actually up to 378 viewers right now.
Yeah, well, hit Hit me up and we can do something. Same go for you, Quad.
Actually, I gotta do one on black supremacy.
Okay.
I gotta do one on that one later on. That's coming on that line.
Black supremacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hit me up whenever y'all ready.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said. All right, brother.
We are out of here for real this time, y'all.
Oh, okay. We still on the air. Okay.
All right, guys.
All right. Peace.
Peace, folks. Again.
The prophet of darkness.